you touched upon earlier was kind of getting a project approved and kind of public input, and you hear about this kind of NIMBYism, not in my backyard. We're seeing it here in Sacramento, like they've approved kind of infill or duplexes to be built in single family areas. And, you know, people are up in arms and kind of, you know, I remember this kind of growing up in rural areas, and there's kind of a sense of when you live there, you want it to stay rural. You don't want to deal with traffic. You know, it seems like more people is always bad. You just want it how it is. Can you kind of talk about how kind of you guys are addressing kind of NIMBYism and, you know, how does it affect, you know, new projects getting approved?
I think it's, you know, I care what the Rocklin of residents say, right? Mm-hmm. You know, but I mean, I think just being honest with the stakeholders when you're having one-on-one meetings, you know, and I'm at the point now where I'll say these things at council meetings too, but I remember meeting with one of the individuals who wants this Sierra College project. And by the way, I haven't made a decision. I haven't seen the project. I don't know what's going to come before me, you know, but you know, she was talking about how she didn't want, you know, single family homes built in this open space, you know, next to her property. Well, it's not open space. That's zoned for housing. It's been zoned for housing for 50 years before your house was even built. And so I said, why is it okay to cut down an oak tree? You know, that because that's often brought up, an oak tree for your house, but not a future residence. You know, somebody's going to live there someday if it's built. And she honestly said, I appreciate her honesty. She said, it's got to stop sometime. I mean, and it's not and I get if you sort of move to a suburban area, you move there because you want it to be quiet and you want it to be peaceful. You don't want to see cars speeding down your street. You know, you want to be safe, you know, all those things. But there are property rights for the people who own the other property, you know, and so my thing is I always try to meet with them, hear their concerns. Are there actually, you can't really influence the project before it ever comes to you, but because it's really not you're going to be the judge of that project, right? So I'll meet with the developers, I'll meet with residents, I'll give everybody my 2 cents. But if there's something they say that, you know, you can sort of influence, like for example, hey, we want a sound wall here. You know, if this is going to be built here, we got to have a sound wall. Okay, you know, let me just talk to staff about that, tell them that's something that come up, and then they'll figure it out, you know, but I don't know if you can really address people who are opposed to development in their neighborhoods or whatever. You can't, I mean, you want to hear them, listen to them, and take their concerns seriously when it comes to public safety and roads and where you can, but you got to give the property owner, it's like an American value, you know? I mean, property rights, it's not crazy. We zoned that property to build a, you know, high density project. It's been like that. We can't take that away just because you don't want any more neighbors, you know?
And you bought that property, you
knew it.
Research that,
you know? But it is really, really important. I go back to that trust factor. You have to make sure the residents know what's going on in their community. I mean, the second we get an application, well, once staff deems it complete, we get an application from a developer, we put it on our website, and you can sign up for email notifications so you can find out what's happening in your neck of the woods probably a year before it ever even happens. And so you can start engaging with the developer. Every developer I know will meet personally with a resident and will address their individual issues. I mean, we recently approved a project where somebody was concerned about their tree that is not on their property, but on the developer's property is going to cover their, you know, they're not going to have shade in 109-degree weather or whatever. So the developer put one in for them. You know, I mean, it's if you meet with if you have concerns, it can be addressed. You know, but
good to know.
Yeah, seriously, it is worth. I mean, they don't want to. They realize that they're going to have to sell the houses, and they don't want to make people mad. I mean, we've had also some developers, and actually, this was a project I voted no on. It was a rezone. You know, these are 10,000 square foot lots, and wanted a rezone for like 30 houses, 3,000 square foot houses on 3,000 square foot lots. So they're basically kind of going up. And it's like, look, if we're going to rezone it, I mean, for that kind of density in that kind of area, why for, you know, these little homes like that? Doesn't really, I'd rather do something different than that, you know. But But anyways, the developer came in right off the bat and started telling people, you know, these properties are, you know, they've owned them in their family for 100 years, or, hey, your fence is encroaching on my property. You got to pay me $10,000. And so it started a major battle. Eventually what happened is the developer gave them all the property, you know, just said, okay, you're encroaching, you're good. Here we go. We'll build around this. You know, they worked out the agreement, but it started off really rocky for a while there, you know, and the developer was right, you know, they were encroaching on the property, but the neighbors were not happy with that project. It was a rezone, you know, and I voted no on it early in my career because I just felt like it, you know, to rezone for other single family, you know, these small lot houses in the middle of mass, it just didn't really
fit.
And it's not, I mean, a lot of people say that, like, hey, you know, this apartment complex doesn't fit here or something like that. But I mean, I feel like if you're going to rezone for something that's going to make everybody mad, you might as well actually meet the housing demand, right? And not another 30, you know. We also sold off parkland in Rocklin. This is another project I voted against. Sold off parkland in Rocklin to build 16, it was 1 acre, 16 high-end condos. I'm sorry, I don't support selling parkland for 16 high-end condos. That doesn't meet anybody's housing needs at all. You know? Yeah. I mean, people will buy them, right? I mean, they're breaking ground right now. You know, they're going up. They'll probably sold already. But that doesn't meet any housing needs, and I don't even think it was really a product we needed to sell the house.
Right.
You know?